Peace President Bush. Oh God, I mean, Peace President Donald Trump, of course. He just went into Venezuela, snatched up the de facto president of the country, and brought him to New York, to Mamdani City, to face trial. What else happened around the world? Iranian protesters are being killed in the streets as they rally against the government to protest the regime and hyperinflation. And journalist Samira Mohyeddin is with us to discuss all things Iran related later in the show. Oh, and Travis, get ready, because newsflash, JD Vance still sucks. Stick around to see all that and how we seem to make the news bearable. This is the Foreign Report. Welcome back to the Foreign Report, your weekly foreign policy show that gives you all the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. Travis Irvine with us in the virtual studio, Columbia Journalism School grad. Boo!
And Ohio University. I got all my alma maters.
Wow.
Alma maters. Alma mater.
There we go. Mama.
Alma mater.
I'm your FP Zaddy, Seena Ghaznavi, coming to you from our LPN studios. Man. What a year. I really thought the year could just ease in a little bit, but then I decided to go to Caracas for New Year's, and that was a mistake. I won't do that again.
2026, already a long one.
Join the newsletter, foreignreportshow.com. Send us an email, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com. We are going live again on Friday, January 9th. So make sure you check out our YouTube page. And remember, we got a new thing, 2026. We heard your comments, the nice ones, and we are front-loading the episode a little bit more. We're giving it to you on Thursdays now. So this is a Thursday drop episode, and every now and then we'll be doing a live stream on Fridays. So we are recording here Tuesday, January 6th, which, by the way, I was just realizing, January 6th. Happy January 6th.
Happy anniversary, Seena.
Do you know the thing I've been spreading at kids' parties, Travis, is that Blippi was at January 6th. He stormed the Capitol.
Oh my gosh, Blippi.
And you know what? All the parents, they are like, I knew it. And I say to them, that's not true. I just made that up. And they're like, oh, I believed you. And I think it just speaks to how hungry every parent is to bring down Blippi.
Oh, yeah. Bring down Blippi. SpongeBob. Nowhere near January 6th.
No. He's
one of the good ones.
He's one of the good ones. All right, so as we previewed, we're going to talk about Venezuela and Iran. Let's get into this Venezuela discussion here.
I think we have to.
Jesus Christ.
That's the thing. All my friends are like, what are you guys going to talk about on the Foreign Report? And it was like, guess what?
Yeah.
We're front loading the show per the request.
If you're having a tough time understanding why we went into Venezuela and snatched up Maduro, stick around because we're going to give you the whole story and our take on like the breakdown of it. So, Travis, I wanted to start with what it's not. Okay, I think it's what is not the reason we went in there, and it's definitely not about drugs. It's not about fentanyl. Okay, in the indictment, the very loose indictment that they get, they made this indictment against Maduro for narco trafficking, all right? And you would think if they talked about fentanyl all the time, that it would be about fentanyl, the fentanyl being flooded into the country, the manslaughter charges potentially, or negligent homicide for killing people with fentanyl. Do you know how many times they mentioned fentanyl in the entire indictment, Travis? 0, Travis!
Whoa! What do I win? Do I win a prize?
Nothing! They talk about cocaine trafficking, they talk about firearms possession, not even the precursor chemicals to fentanyl. And remember, Trump made fentanyl WMD through executive order, which goes back to, you know this, you're an Iraq war guy. Not that you were there. But
I wasn't there.
I feel like, but this is where like our personalities got formed.
I protested that war, so
yeah. This is like, we were young college kids then, and this Iraq war was happening, and Congress passed the AUMF, which is the Authorization for Use of Military Force. The famous 60 words. Do you mind if I read you these 60 words? Because I feel like a lot of people don't know this.
Well, give them to me. Nostalgia. I'm ready.
Nostalgia. Ready? That the president is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons he determines, it's a little sexist, he determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11th, 2001, or harbored such organizations or persons in order to prevent any future acts of international terrorism against the United States by such nations, organizations, or persons. Those 60 words are why we were in a 20-plus year war in Afghanistan. It's why we can just waltz around the entire globe killing people.
Don't forget about the $5 trillion in taxpayer money that was also spent. This is why it's nice I'm wearing my Ohio University hoodie. That's where I protest. That's where I learned how to protest wars like this. And now I guess I got to wear this hoodie to another war protest soon.
So all Trump had to do was make fentanyl a WMD, and he could say, hey, this is terrorism. This is international terrorism.
Right. Let's go kidnap their president. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Let's go snatch him up. So none of this is what it's about. It's not about drugs. Also not about freeing the Venezuelan people. He does not give a shit about freeing those people, okay? We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but this is about taking over the hemisphere. This is about a few things specifically. First one, I think everyone knows this one. Oil. Right?
Even Trump, as he always does. Yeah, he switched it. This is the one thing you can count on with President Donald Trump. He will accidentally tell the truth at some point. It's like, it's about fentanyl. And they're like, what about the oil? It's like, we want the oil. We always want the oil. I wanted the oil a long time ago.
Okay, so we're talking about the oil. And let me play this clip from Hassan Piker, because I think it's very instructive, because this is what a lot of people are feeling.
Dollars going to benefit Exxon and Chevron. That's it. If you don't care about the life and livelihood of Venezuelans, then you should at the very least do the America first thing. And the America first thing in this circumstance is non-interventionism in Venezuela. Venezuela does not present an ever-present danger to the United States of America. Venezuela's never threatened the United States of America. Venezuela is just there. As a matter of fact, in spite of Venezuela never really seriously threatening the United States of America, that'd be ridiculous. They have no power here. We have endlessly tried to destabilize their economy, endlessly tried to coup their leadership over and over and over again. And the big part of the reason why we're doing that is because Venezuela actually nationalizes oil production in the same way that Norway was able to nationalize their entire extraction industries, not just oil, but their forest service as well. Having said that, that was unacceptable for our foreign capital, and we wanted more control over their oil. This doesn't actually trickle down any sort of wealth to the average American citizen. It doesn't do anything for the average Americans at all. As a matter of fact, it's actually an allocation of resources to permanent war for no fucking reason, as opposed to spending that money on ourselves, as opposed to fixing our broken infrastructure, funding our schools, funding healthcare, and numerous other initiatives.
Okay, So he is not wrong about anything he's saying there. He's also not entirely right. And this is where I kind of disagree, not even that much, but it's not the full picture. And I think that's the thing. This isn't Iraq all over again, okay? Iraq was like a centralized place where it was at the crossroads of the entire oil industry and the global petrodollar. All this stuff was happening there.
And they had Saddam Hussein, who at one time did use his army to not just attack his own citizens, but another country.
Yes.
Venezuela has not done any of that.
And he's right. Since Venezuela got Chavez, when Chavez got into power, they did the nationalization thing, and we have been trying to destabilize them, because before that, Venezuela would pump oil whenever we asked to keep the oil prices down. So they were doing us a solid, okay? Right. And here's the other thing, though, when it comes to oil. Does America, quote unquote, need the oil? And the answer is a little surprising, because we don't need the oil, but it is nice to have. And here's just a quick image so you can see, and we're going to include this link in the show notes. There was a good video on X of a guy breaking down the different types of oil and why we want this certain type of oil. And this slide just says, does America even need anyone else's oil? And it's a line graph that shows you how many barrels a day a country produces. And you can see since it's from 1965 all the way to 2023. And right around 2009, you start to see a huge uptick in the amount of oil production that happens in the United States. And around that same time, especially after 2013, you have a precipitous plummeting of the amount of production that Venezuela has. Saudi Arabia is there. They went up and down, but they're generally always increasing when it comes to Saudi Arabia, okay? So we have oil, but what kind of oil do we have, actually?
Not the kind of oil that P. Diddy likes. I know that much.
Oh, my God. He had GHP in the oil. I didn't know it was in the oil. Did you see that?
Oh, man. Now I want that oil. Now I do want that oil. We're going for the oil. P. Diddy's oil.
But we get, it's this like light oil, right? We get this oil
light
from
crude, right? Light crude.
Yes, and it's from fracking. And do you remember, we don't talk as much about fracking, I think, anymore. And I want to play a video because I feel like a lot of our audience may not remember this stuff about fracking. And it was a nightmare, I remember, when it first started. Do you remember this, Travis?
Yes. Oh, I remember.
I hold a standard kitchen match to my water, and like I said, it is unpredictable, but the methane randomly travels with the water, and sometimes it will light quite spectacularly.
Here we go.
This is what turning on her faucet, and she is putting a match to the faucet, the water, and the water coming
Just
out
like that.
ignited.
Dude.
Her water is on fire. The kitchen faucet. Okay,
Yes.
That's not even all. This is Americans, our government, our private sector doing that to our own citizens. Okay, this is like, just go with me on this, people. Then I don't know if you remember this part, but there were random earthquakes that were happening.
Those are still happening. Those are still happening.
And I thought, oh, that was from fracking too. It's not entirely true. Oklahoma, which is like not on a tectonic plate or anything like that, they had a surge of earthquakes in 2009. Here's the thing. What they're doing is the wastewater disposal from the oil and natural gas production. And so what they do is the wastewater disposal is a separate process in which, this is crazy, guys, in which fluid waste from oil and gas production gets injected deep underground, far below groundwater or drinking water aquifers. And in Oklahoma, 90% of the wastewater that is injected, this word injected is killing me right now, is a byproduct of oil extraction process and not waste from fracking. So all of these things we are willing to do to ourselves in America. And now we have a ton of oil from this stuff. And we're willing, this is like, I just want to be abundantly clear. We are willing to ignite our own faucets and cause earthquakes so that we can get that oil.
Yes. No, and I laugh, but you know me, I love to inject Ohio into any of our conversations. But there are still earthquakes in southeastern Ohio and the Appalachia region where they are still drilling, fracking, drill baby drill, and it's increased. They're doing it under our state parks now, Seena.
Oh my God.
So the earthquakes are happening. Yes, injecting all kinds of things down there. So how does this relate back to Venezuela?
I've just kind of set it up because we're doing all this to get this thin, cheap oil.
Yes.
Venezuela, on the other hand, has that sticky, icky, gunk, heavy oil.
High crude, baby.
High crude. Ooh. Which is great for diesel. It also has a higher profit margin that they can sell. And they also have the most amount of oil in the ground in the world in Venezuela.
Yes. And natural gas. They've got it all, baby.
They've got it all. And so the big refineries that we have in America were built to process not the light stuff, but the heavy stuff. So all around Texas and Louisiana, those big refineries are all built to process heavy crude oil. So they need the heavy crude, and we're importing that. We've been getting it from other places so that they can use those refineries. And Travis, do you know who owns the largest heavy oil refinery in North America?
Ooh, lay it on me. I'm ready.
I didn't put it in the notes, so that you really had to think about it.
I don't even know, but I'm very excited to find out.
Saudi Arabia.
Domestic policy is foreign policy. Foreign policy is domestic policy. Say it again.
Just Saudi Arabia. Anyways, so we are getting this. There's so much demand for heavy crude oil. Who else needs this oil from Venezuela? China needs oil. They buy 60 to 80% of Venezuela's exports to China.
Ooh.
Cuba gets almost all of their energy from Venezuela. And they also run Venezuela's intelligence operation, which, by the way, they probably need a training day, maybe a 2.
It might be too late, but yes.
I think as Cuba said that like 40 of their intelligence officers died in the Maduro raid. So I mean, just like insane. So with all that I just said, it's about oil. But this is where I think it wasn't enough for me. It all seemed like it all wrapped up together nicely, that it's just about oil. But the problem is it's going to take years to rebuild the infrastructure in Venezuela, to get that oil out of the ground, to get it over. All these things have to happen. And by the way, I don't think everyone in Venezuela is just going to like welcome the American private companies to come in. Did we not have an insurgency problem in Iraq? Do we not have a Taliban problem in Afghanistan? Who knows what guerrilla fighters are there that hate America that are going to just... And remember, $1 of like insurgency dollars can really mess up millions of American capitalism dollars.
Yes. And
so that's what the asymmetric warfare is going to be very interesting here. But there's a few other things. There's 3 other things that were happening that I think are important to talk about. And that's Russia. Russia has a military presence in Venezuela. And for nearly 20 years, they've had advisors there helping with their surface-to-air missile systems, which, by the way, also probably need a little updating and some training. They didn't do a good job. Those are the first things.
I think it's a little too late for that one, too, but yes.
A little late.
Put it on the to-do list. New Year's resolution, 2026. Got it.
Fix surface-to-air. They also helped the Venezuelans with intelligence, again, and they would monitor U.S. movements in the region. Again, they weren't I didn't say they were good at it, but they were definitely there, and they were training Venezuelan troops as well. Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran actually has a drone manufacturing facility, or did, in Venezuela, in the El Liberator Air Base. Oh, man, sorry, I butchered that name. So they were making drones. Yes. And one type of these drones could reach southern Florida from Venezuela. Yeah, so this is like the northern part of Venezuela where this base was. Iran had like guys there helping manufacture. These were the kamikaze drones, right?
Wow.
And then we get to the thing that I've brought up on the show before, which is the minerals.
Yes.
The minerals.
The oil, natural gas, and minerals combined.
Yes. And the minerals, and I was saying it's a mineral play for AI and technology, and they're all just going to like give it to Sam Altman. I was wrong about that. What it is the minerals they're using are actually critical for our weapon systems, our missile systems, our guidance systems. Even Obama, in 2015, he called Venezuela's concentration of minerals an unusual and extraordinary threat. So this is real. There's this type of mineral that they have there, okay, called blue gold. And Chavez had said when he was in power in 2009 that they have $100 billion of this blue gold. And what they do is you process this blue gold and you get this element called tantalum. And that's what we use, and we need to use that for all the guidance systems, smart bombs, navigational systems. It's also resistant to heat. It doesn't, it's like incredible. It is the very vital thing that we need, and we have to import it. In fact, there are 50 minerals, Travis, that we need national security-wise to build all these things that the government stockpiles.
Wow.
For 12 of them, we have to import them 100%. For 28 of them, of the 50, we have to import half of them. And so we need to import so much of these critical minerals to build the things that make us the largest military in the world by like several orders of magnitude. And so this is all three of these things, plus all the stuff we've been talking about, and this Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine for Donald Trump,
right,
is why we're trying to capture all of the Western Hemisphere.
Whew. So Venezuela's like a multivitamin for our war system.
Yes.
It's got all the minerals, every mineral that you need in one.
It has a blocking mechanism for China. It takes out Russia and Iran's influence in the region, and it also does this whole thing with Cuba, where it isolates Cuba, which is basically like they've made an energy blockade for Cuba, and they're going to get cooked. I mean, that is real bad for Cuba right now.
So when the Trump administration and the members, your Stephen Millers, when they were going out and they're saying that Venezuela was aiding our adversaries, it seems like there is a connection there. It's just the question was this the way to deal with it?
Yeah, exactly. And it aligns with, and here's my thought is that this idea didn't come from Stephen Miller. He's too busy, No,
I think this has been out there for 20 years since we were in college, right? I mean, I remember when Hugo Chavez and President Ahmadinejad from Iran were like buddy. And that's, I feel, when the Iran-Venezuela alliance really formed. That's what's so crazy for you to point out that, in fact, they were still involved.
And this, I think, came from the military. This was like an operation that was presented to them by the military. So it begs the question of, were the bombings of those boats just a test to see how Venezuela would react, to see how other countries in that region would react? I don't know. It's difficult. I'm interested to hear what other people have to say about it. But I think to Hassan Piker's point, yes, oil, but there's several other things that make it a much more complex thing because you can't benefit from the oil immediately, right? You're not going to take it over and then the oil guys come in and they're just like, yeah, we're pumping this stuff out. It's going to the places in Texas and Louisiana to get refined, and then we're going to make a bunch of money. No, it's going to take a while, but what the immediate effect is this national security thing. It's a good old-fashioned American imperialism.
Yeah! And it has nothing to do with fentanyl.
No, thank you for bringing it back. No fentanyl. Which, by the way, the indictment, for the Honduran president was basically the identical indictment for Maduro.
Oh, the one that got pardoned by Trump.
One guy gets pardoned. One guy gets snatched up in his jammies.
Right. There was a reporter, thankfully, who did ask President Trump that question at one of the press conferences in the last week. It's just like, okay, so you're arresting Maduro for drug trafficking. Great. But then you just also pardoned another president of Honduras for drug trafficking. What's up with that? And you can imagine the answer made total sense, I'm sure.
Total, complete sense. He was concise. It was just a few words.
The answer was oil, actually. This guy has oil.
So I think that was what I really wanted to convey, because this whole time the oil thing didn't sit right with me. And I thought there had to be some other reason out there, because it also feels like an easy thing to sell to people. Like you could have people just say like, hey, the oil. Okay, great. Even if you hate the fact that we're doing it, right? They can all be arguing about the oil. But what it is really at the end of the day, American imperialism of the Western Hemisphere. And I think that is like a much greater problem for our future that we don't feel like we'd have to stop. We could just do whatever we want.
Because it doesn't. How do you stop it? Now the breach has been breached, as they say, in where I'm from.
Yeah, they say that where you're from.
No, I think it was more about breaking the seal, which is when you've been drinking all night and you finally go take a wee. But
yeah.
Either way, the Monroe Doctrine is a lot like taking that first wee.
All right. When we come back, Samira Mohyeddin is with us. She's a journalist that's going to join us to talk about Iran. For Travis Irvine, I'm Seena Ghaznavi. Stick around. These protests are happening, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine. We have a special interview that I want to go to. The full interview will be on our website, foreignreportshow.com, for subscribers. It's free to subscribe. Just put your email in on the website and you'll get access to the full interview. Samira is a multi-award-winning journalist, broadcaster, and producer. She was a producer at CBC Radio and a co-host of the CBC's As It Happens. She founded and runs On the Line Media, an independent media company committed to amplifying the voices most needed to help audiences make sense of the world. We're so happy to have her join us today to make sense of what's happening in Iran and to give you just a little bit of a sense of what's happening there. And she's going to break it down. Protests are in their 10th day, and by the time this airs, it'll be their 12th day. And inflation is over 40%. And a lot of this started with the bazaris, the merchants, the shopkeepers. And then it has spread throughout the country. It really hasn't reached big numbers in Tehran yet, but we'll get into that with Samira. And stick around. When we come back, we're going to show you the clip that we talk about of a flamethrower that a protester used. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about all things Iran related that are happening. This round of protests is different than like the other ones I've been watching my whole life, it feels like. Well, at least for me. Well, first, a couple things came up. First, the regime seemed to start killing faster than normal. The second thing was that I saw guns. Protesters have guns. I haven't seen that, really. And then we'll show the clip of the flamethrower. That was...
Oh, what a doozy that was. That guy is wild.
That guy was wild. And then I'm going to, later, audience, I'll play it and I'll translate what the woman on the balcony is saying, because there's some it's beautiful. It's like my mother was on the balcony cheering this guy on. We all know that like this was, started economically from the bazaris, right? So can you just kind of lay down the groundwork a little bit of how this most recent round of protests have started and how they differ from other ones?
Yeah, they started 10 days ago. They started when Iran's currency, which is called the rial, plummeted to, I think it was like 478,000 rials to $1 American dollar. And, the currency has lost about 50% of its worth since just September alone. And of course, this does have to do with sanctions. I'm not going to discount the brutal sanctions Iran has been under for 46 years, but it also has to do with a lot of corruption, mismanagement by the government in Iran. And you said, things are different this time, but they're different for other reasons for me, I think. And it's not just that the regime started killing earlier, because to this point, I think the numbers now, according to human rights agencies on the ground, there's 35 people dead, many others injured, and I think nearly 1,000 have been arrested. Last time, there were a lot more people killed than this time. And last time, the government didn't come out and say, okay, we have some of this is on us, mea culpa. Pezeshkian, the president, came out and said, the people are right. We do have a lot of mismanagement. We're going to fix it. But none of this, nobody gives a shit. Nobody on the streets really cares. Yeah. It's pretty wild what we're watching. And it's very, very confined right now to a lot of provinces and little towns that I've never even heard of. A friend of mine who I spoke to in northern Tehran told me there's nothing going on here. You wouldn't even know it. If you went to Tajrish, which is like this area in northern Tehran, everybody's just like going about their day. Yeah. So it's not something that's taking place all over the country, which is actually something you saw a lot in 2022 during the Mahsa Amini uprising. This is very, as we said in high school, sus. There's a lot of weird shit going on.
Where does that sus come from? And then where do you think the guns are coming from?
The sus to me comes with, people like former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo putting out a tweet saying, Happy New Year to all the Iranians in the streets and the Mossad agents walking among them. What the is wrong with you?
Not helpful.
Not helpful. What the up. Even if true, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Swinging your dick.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of shit going on. I just saw a video of some guy running in the street, and he made himself a little sign, and he put it on one of the street signs in Iran. It said President Trump in Persian. I mean, who printed that sign? Who took the original video? This video is going viral right now. This video of a street being named President Trump Street. So there's a lot of shit going on. And also, you have people like Gila Gamliel, who is the Minister of Science and Innovation and Technology, saying, make Iran great again. Israel is with you. We're all behind you. Naftali Bennett, the former prime minister, saying the same thing. This is not good for any movement, particularly one that, is coming from a genocidal regime like Israel, that back in June killed more than 1,000 Iranians when it bombed the country. Yeah. So there's a lot.
They were trying to free them, though. Samir, they were trying to free them. They were going to free them. And then the Shah's son was going to come in, and he was going to be a transitional power. Come on.
Only. He's
only transition. I've looked transition. Nothing else.
I have no ambitions.
No, none. Not me. Speaking of like the words of support or the whatever the kind of war cry or whatever, the lion's cry, whatever we want to call it, there is something that I think a lot of Iranians, especially in the American diaspora, are clinging to, which is the vocal support from the president against the regime, which is something that was sadly missing from the Green Revolution in 2009, which is what my mother loves to rant about. Pisses her off that Obama did nothing for us. Obama messed it all up.
Yadite, Yabama, Yab Obama, Yabama, Yabona.
You're with us. Yeah. And so Trump is doing this thing where he said, and so many Iranians like, thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you. What can you speak to? What does it mean for the American president, whomever it is, to actually voice support?
Listen, this is so painful.
It is.
I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
And we too here have a contingency of Iranians who think that Trump is going to save us, that is going to save them, is going to save Iran. And they don't care about anything else that Trump says or does about anywhere else. One of the saddest things that I've watched is the navel gazing that Iranians have committed themselves to. They don't give a shit about anywhere else in the world. They don't give a shit about what Trump is doing to anything else or anyone else. They only care about their own interests. And it has been heartbreaking to watch these so-called human rights activists, and I say so-called on purpose, only care about what happens to Iran and Iranians. And I can't really speak to, what they're thinking. But this is a recipe for disaster, because there is a huge population of Iranians in the country who are not okay with this. And they really are the silent majority at this point, because there is such a violent group of people online who are pushing this pro-monarchical, narrative. And there is no room for anyone else to either breathe or talk. And if they do, they are labeled leftists. They are labeled, supporters of the regime. If you are not right now lockstep in tow with, Nufti, all of these American organizations that are like, champing at the bit to, I don't know, go and sit in some presidential palace or whatever's left in Iran, they would rather see their country bombed, not understanding that who is this all? If we don't consider ourselves as one group, as one country, as one nation, we really have a problem. This whole us and them, I understand that there's an Iranian government and there's these rulers and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to need to have some sort of truth and reconciliation in our country. Otherwise, it's just going to be this disgusting cycle of violence, which we've really been embroiled in for the past 100 years.
if we think about also what's the tone and tenor of how people are reacting to what's happening in Venezuela, you have people that are obviously upset about it. Then you have people that are happy about it. Then you have all kinds of different people. And the thing that keeps coming up for me is perfect is the enemy of good, and good is the enemy of survival. And this idea kind of hits Iran as well. There are people that are saying what we're saying, which is like, if you blow up the country, like even what happened in over the summer in June, who paid for all those nuclear facilities? Who built those things? Those are Iranians. You know what I mean? They built them. So you're destroying their economy. You're destroying their livelihoods as well. What do you think? How do you decipher? Our show covers all of these contradictions, and I always try to get our audience to hold them inside their brains because it's very complex and complicated and difficult. So talk to me about how conflicting and how difficult it is to hold those things in an Iranian's head.
Yeah, it's a very shitty time to be Iranian because on the one hand, you see, you're pushing for people inside the country. You want them to have some sort of reprieve. And then on the next, you're seeing Lindsey Graham say, hope in 2026, we make Iran great again and put on a make Iran great again hat. I mean, this is so up to watch. And honestly, it's such a good question you ask because I really feel sometimes that diaspora communities are so dangerous.
Whoa.
Ireland doesn't let their diaspora vote when it comes to elections. Yeah. They don't let them vote because they say you're not here. You don't live here. You shouldn't have a say in who governs and runs over here while you live over there. And sometimes I feel the same way. Right now there's about 8 million Iranians outside of the country. And you bring up Venezuela. I mean, we saw these people in Miami dancing and and you see the same Cuban community. I mean, how many, 60 something years, 70 maybe, of disgusting sanctions on Cuba. And these people are still like, yeah, keep it going. I mean, while people don't even have salt and pepper in Cuba. And these people are, gleefully saying, yes, keep the sanctions. Who are we hurting here? Yeah. And who's benefiting from this? That's all I keep wondering. I was somebody who, if you asked me 20 years ago, I would have said, yes, sanctions are good. Keep them in place on Iran. I don't feel that way anymore. I changed my mind about 5 years ago because one of the things I realized was that in 1979, the reason their revolution was so successful is that they had no barriers, zero barriers economically, zero barriers geographically, zero barriers in terms of freedom of movement. People could come and go. Money was being exchanged. Civil society was being helped in a way by people from the outside that you just can't do today. We have no connection in that way to what's happening in Iran. So when we think, we're helping people by sanctions, what, you think Khamenei is going to come and want to buy an apartment in Miami? And, and we're stopping him from doing that? He doesn't give a shit. His money's all in Switzerland.
The sanctions I find conflicting as well because I think the sanctions are a way of avoiding a kinetic war. But to your point, for 2 decades? And if we lifted the sanctions, would that mean that Iranians would have a better time? Would it be economically more prosperous? I don't know, but I do know the impact that it's having now. I do know that
they would. Under Obama, their money was worth more. There was more spending power. The civil society was opened up in 2009. That's why you had such a huge movement. That's why you had such a proliferation of newspapers and all of that. I mean, when you close a society, what happens? North Korea. Is that what we want?
So what I'm hearing, let me just repeat this back. So the sanctions inherently were supposed to isolate a country so they change their behavior. And what's happening now is it's becoming more of a hermit country and then it's keeping to itself and it's suffocating its own people. And, when Obama was able to reduce the sanctions after the nuclear deal, then people had more of an opportunity to mobilize, to create change.
Yes. Yeah, that's natural. That's a natural. We've seen it happen in other places. We saw that happen in Poland. I mean, this is the natural order of things. When you seal off a country, nobody can go in, nobody can go out. I mean, Iranians are now part of that list that Trump has put together. They can't come to the U.S. When people go out, their minds open up. They see things.
Yeah.
All of those students that were supposed to, come out in 1979 and were studying, there were 70,000 Iranian students studying in the United States during the 70s. What did they all do? They all went back and caused a revolution. Why? Because they, were exposed to other ideas. They wanted a more democratic, they wanted their country to open up. And that's what happened. I mean, it's something that we've seen happen over and over again in history. But now, we are closing Iran off again. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It doesn't work. And it's been happening for 46 years. Where have sanctions got us? Nowhere.
I can't argue with it. I don't know. They really haven't had the benefit that they were supposed to. I guess I just keep going back to this thing of like, what if not sanctions, then what? Then how do you stir the people to effectuate change?
Leave them alone.
Leave
them alone. Leave them alone. Leave Iranians alone. Leave Iran alone. Use the usual legal mechanisms that we do for any other place that is causing problems. Support the human rights organizations on the ground. Support the NGOs on the ground. Don't tweet out that there are Mossad agents walking around. I was like, what are they doing? This is crazy. Okay. it's too much for me to think about all the time. I want to talk about how the media and storytelling in the digital sphere that's happening. One thing I think the Shah's son has the same PR team that P. Diddy has because he's everywhere. I think he's absolutely everywhere. Somehow these videos are coming up and people are like, yo, your videos are everywhere. They want you back. It's like, no, please. And it's like, come, what are you talking? No one wants you back, bro. But I want to talk about, there's BBC Persian, Voice of America, Saudi-backed Iran International. They are dominating the information space. And this is to what extent are these networks helping the Iranian public? And to what extent are they actually just advancing the agenda of a foreign government? I have actually been writing an entire chapter on this recently, which is about these satellite televisions, specifically Manoto. Yeah. And Iran International, which came later, but Manoto specifically. You said that he doesn't, the Shah's son, no one wants you back, doesn't have much support. I beg to differ actually on that. Because I think that the propaganda that was done over the past decade has been very effective.
Yeah.
Particularly with the very younger generation right now in Iran. And I'm speaking about the generation that's like 15 to 30, that age range. These types of programs have been very effective. And of course, people want a return. A lot of people want a return because what does that mean? What have they been fed? It means that their passport would mean they can travel anywhere. It means that they wouldn't be labeled terrorists in the world. They would be respected. All of these things that their parents feed them on a regular basis. Man, at one time, the dollar was seven.
I was just talking to my mom about the 7.
7 reals to $1 US. I mean, you can't argue with that, right?
Yeah.
And by
the way, remind people, it's at 120. What is it today? It is a
42 something
thousand. It's thousands of % more than it was during the Shah's time. Please go on.
And I have an uncle who says when I used to go to the airport, they would bow to me when they saw my passport. I mean, these are stories that get passed around, and so much of politics is just what happens at the dinner table. So multiply this by 1 million, And you have, this sweet little boy who, there's a great story, right? This sweet little boy who at the age of 17 or 18 lost his father to cancer. I mean, think of it in this Shakespearean way, right? Lost his father to cancer, who is now buried in a foreign land, Egypt, and all he wants is to rescue his people. I mean, that's Shakespearean shit. And people, is when you refer to this media, they have been pummeling this inside Iranian living rooms for decades. So I really believe that this level of propaganda has been very effective. I mean, a lot of people that I hear that are talking do want the Shah's son back.
Do you think it's propaganda, or do you think?
Look, nostalgia is so powerful, dude. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing, and these satellite TVs really have jumped on it. Like they are using nostalgia in a way that I've never seen done before.
It's always at a volume 100 when I call my parents in the background. It's like I turn it down. I hear my mom
when they're on the phone. And
on the phone.
And I'm trying to eat dinner, and I'm like,
what is happening? Wait, but do you think it's the propaganda, or there's no one else? Because the thing that I also keep hearing is that there's no one within the country, or they haven't allowed anyone to be a person that they can point to say this person can lead us.
But that's just not true. I mean, we have a Nobel Peace Prize winner inside the country. Narges Mohammadi, I mean, she stood up at that funeral, I think it was like about a month and a half ago, and was chanting Payande Iran, and people started drowning her out with Javid Shah. Some people were actually throwing things at her. So I'm very, very afraid of what I see coming inside Iran, which is a very nationalistic, right-wing, secular, fascistic, authoritarian government. That's what I see coming. The pendulum just swinging right the other way. That's my fear.
God, that's great.
I know you came to me for hope. And
this is great. Let's forecast a little bit. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Do you realistically expect anything to happen by the end of 2026?
I've watched Iran do this sort of dance with protests, as you have for decades. It's going to take a lot more than little fires here and there to bring down this government.
Thank you so much for being on the show. This was I wanted to, I'm just so grateful for your time.
Thank you, man. It's been a lot of fun.
I learned a lot myself, and this is the whole point of the show, is being able to hold a lot of these things in our minds. And I think this is a very complicated time.
Thanks for doing the work you do. It's important.
Thank you so much, Samira, for that interview. As promised, Travis, I wanted to play because I didn't have time to play it on the interview itself. She's going to send me some more clips, but I've been watching this clip so many times, and let me share it with you, of a protester making a homemade flamethrower against the government police that are chasing him. This is right out of a movie. You got to go to our YouTube page. I'm sure this will get clipped. But here is a protester, homemade weapon here. Let me play it. You can see rocks are being thrown. Police. Yeah. They're coming down. There's guys on motorcycles. He comes out, sprays them with some liquid. Boom! On fire! One of the motorcycle guys is on fire, and now he's running. And he's still carrying his tank.
Yeah, you're gonna want that.
Bro, drop the tank.
Wow.
And they're
Oh my.
And they didn't shoot him, but they did capture him. And I want to just play this again, and you can hear the woman that's filming, that's from her balcony.
Is she laughing or crying?
No, she's tearing up.
Wow.
So right when the flame ignites on this motorcycle guy, she says "Gorbunit beram," and that means in Farsi, it's the direct translation is difficult, but it means I want to sacrifice myself for you, and it's like a sentiment of I love you so much. I wish I was there for you. They don't really mean that, right, in the literal sense, but it is the thing of like such a deep expression of love and appreciation, right? And then she's saying mashallah, mashallah, and that means technically, like directly, it means like if you literally translate it, it's like God wills it or whatever. It's like, but it really it's like good job. She's saying good job. She's saying mashallah, mashallah. This is flamed up guy, and then she's saying like, please don't get him, please don't get him, please don't get him. And so that's a video that's been going around that I wanted to share with folks.
Thank you for sharing it, because the only time I've seen a flamethrower in action like that was the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but that was Leonardo using it on the does anyone want fried sauerkraut? And it's much different. It's much different to see it used on actual police officers in another country.
Yeah, and these are like the government police, so it's not even like your local PD, right? So these are really, it's like bad guys. All right, so that's the Iran stuff. Man, it is rough what's happening in Iran. I don't know.
Do you think he made that out of heavy crude, light crude, or natural gas?
I don't know.
Where do you get that?
I could be some heavy, maybe some light. Light is probably easier to get a hold of.
Yeah.
I don't know someone was asking me the other night if I think the government's going to fall, and Samira addressed it as well in our interview, but I don't feel like I can even be optimistic anymore or hopeful, because if I do, I will be disappointed. So we'll see what happens. We've got a few minutes left in the show. When we come back, we're going to have everyone's favorite segment, JD Vance Corner. We'll be right back. This is a Foreign Report. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. Oh my God! I'm performing. Welcome back to the Foreign Report.
We were on vacation for 2 weeks.
I know.
I'm still full of gingerbread and eggnog.
I have still not slept. So kids got up early all break, but that's special. Let's get into our favorite segment.
Chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he subbed.
Oh my God.
Yes, thank you. I think we're going to stick with the club version of that
I think
song.
club version.
Well, it luckily, I mean, obviously, like we said, 2026 already off to a bonker start, especially for a show like ours. It's called the Foreign Report. But over the holidays, in fact, right before the holidays, there was some action from our favorite vice president. There was a little thing called America Fest. It's by Turning Point USA. They do it in Charlie Kirk's home city of Phoenix, Arizona, every year. And, all the big players come out. Your all your favorite right wingers, right? We've got some favorites, right? Tucker Carlson.
Sure. Tucky.
That racist kid who's got a Latino last name. I mean, he was there. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's trying to tell people to not be racist.
He keeps getting booed, I feel like.
Oh, buddy, believe me, he's running for governor of Ohio. It's about to pop off over here in the Buckeye State. But a lot of this stuff, they kind of roll it out at AMFest for short. So first and foremost, there's a lot of news going around with Erica Kirk and JD Vance with that sensual hug that we covered a few months ago. But it is official. Erica Kirk has said that Turning Point USA will be endorsing JD Vance for president in 2028. Now, obviously, JD is not officially announced. We still have to get through the 2026 midterms. It's going to be a process to even make it that far, but Turning Point has officially come through.
I feel like Trump may turn on Vance after the midterms if they don't go well. What do you think?
I've always been speculating. In fact, more of this coverage from AmFest says the same, that JD Vance don't got the juice. Remember, we talked about Ted Cruz is exploring. There's still some big conservatives who are just like, they don't think JD Vance has what it takes to win in 2020. That's why Erica Kirk and Turning Point coming out in favor of him already so soon is somewhat of a big deal. But you do highlight what a lot of other coverage is saying from NPR. JD Vance, while he was at this AmFest, he refused to set red lines over the bigotry that they're seeing within their own movement, right? Like you're just saying, Vivek Ramaswamy versus Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson versus these. I mean, there's a lot of fractures in the MAGA movement right now, and a lot of it is because of, as you pointed out, racism, right? JD Vance, as always, and this is where I'm just like, I don't think the man's got the juice. He doesn't have what it takes. He was going out there and try to basically make a speech. Ben Shapiro was there denouncing a lot of this racism. There's just so much infighting. And so what Vance tried to do was kind of put a Band-Aid on what I assume is a gaping wound. And he said, we don't care if you're white or black, rich or poor, young or old, rural or urban, controversial or a little bit boring or somewhere in between, he said. We have far more important work to do than canceling each other. And he basically is trying to bring them all together, but he did all this in classic JD Vance fashion of not condemning the racism, meaning he still thinks he needs the Tucker Carlsons, the Nick Fuenteses.
Oh.
And so this is the thing again, where I think it's almost like one of those things where if you don't fix it now, right, a stitch in time saves nine.
Sure.
I think JD Vance is going to see this movement really fracturing on him in the years to come as he tries to take up this MAGA mantle.
Because presumably he views them as the base.
Yes, all of them, though. And that's the thing. Now they all, like we've been covering on this show for weeks and months. And of course, now there's way bigger foreign policy fish to fry. But domestically, the movement behind Donald Trump's presidency is still, I would say, very fractured. And JD Vance, who is supposed to be the heir apparent in 2028, he just doesn't have what it takes to unite everyone. And then this was we're calling it a holiday season 2025. He still doesn't have what it takes to unite everybody. But there's an even funnier gaffe I want to highlight.
Okay.
And we know it's a gaffe. But this is the most bonkers thing for me that came out of AmFest, and it does involve JD Vance. And this is, again, highlights where does he fit in, and where do a lot of these sycophants and grifters fit in as well. Nicki Minaj was there. You all know. Remember when Ben Shapiro talked about how much he loves that Nicki Minaj song?
Yeah.
Well, now they're all hanging out at AmFest.
Oh, God.
Erica Kirk was literally interviewing Nicki Minaj, and you're not going to believe what she called JD Vance. Let's roll this beautiful bean footage.
Oh, my God. Okay.
They're young men. You have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president.
This is Nicki Minaj talking.
And you
right
have
now
amazing role models like the assassin JD Vance, our vice president. And when I say that...
Assassin?
Yeah. And then she realizes what she said.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine.
Oh my God.
We did.
Just keep it moving. I love you. Dead air, keep it moving.
They can.
You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart. I will not judge that.
Sister. Thank you.
There we go. I think they saved it, right? They totally saved it. It doesn't come off well that Nicki Minaj was just informed that JD Vance was behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk, so he could then marry Erica Kirk to then unite the Turning Point movement in his favor in 2028. No speculation whatsoever over here. We're a comedy network. Okay. Woo, that was a doozy, huh? So that's the first time
that was
I've ever
so
heard.
Uncomfortable.
I've never heard JD Vance called an assassin, but when it
Why
was
was she even saying? Why was she even saying the word?
I'm telling you, man, this is it. This is no one knows. Is JD Vance the assassin of Charlie Kirk? We're not saying that.
Don't
Nicki
even say
Minaj.
Charlie Kirk. We can't even say Charlie Kirk on the show. Don't even say his name.
I'm not even going to, but JD clearly, according to Nicki Minaj, assassinated somebody.
Oh, God.
We'll never know. But there you go. Those are the funniest, wackiest scenes out of the funniest, wackiest America Fest I've ever seen clips from. So there you go. JD, good luck, buddy. You've got the endorsement now.
I feel embarrassed. Like myself. I don't know why this feeling is in my chest. It's so uncomfortable. All right.
It's because we've seen so many people bomb that we know what it's like.
Yeah.
That was one of the most epic ones I've ever seen.
Give him a chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks.
And apparently he's an assassin. All right, folks. I'm Seena Ghaznavi for Travis Irvine, the Foreign Report Show, foreignreportshow.com. Just go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the full interview with Samira. Wow, what a beefy show. We'll be back next week. Oh, join us for the live stream on Friday.
Live stream. We'll see you on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
On the
only.
tube. Bye,
5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
That's important.
Bye. It's important.